Hello, my name is Robert Hull. I'm going to read a few poems from a collection called On Portsmouth Station, which was made in 2009 by Beafred, a publisher in Salisbury. And I'm going to start with the title poem, On Portsmouth Station, which was set in motion by a stroll through Portsmouth Station when I encountered a policeman carrying a gun. On Portsmouth Station, a policeman with a gun on his arm arresting my leisurely progress. It flashes into mind that if I looked directly down the barrel of his vision, I might awaken the glint of intent scrutiny, and this 60-something uncertain-looking Caucasian male with a faded rucksack and the appearance of being somewhat abandoned by life, maybe, or success, or a woman, or all three, might seem to a young man carrying state-sanctioned rapid-action hardware to have been left behind, suspiciously unattended. This is about the kind of stuff you inherit, in this case when my father died, garden furniture and tools and so forth, and this is called axe. Axe. You wouldn't have left it out, inviting comparisons, though gathering dew overnight probably suited it better than yesterday's ill-timed fit of being wielded on jarring heartwood and let skid vertiginously off missed edges. Now, I can't wrestle it out of an obstinate refusal to resume. It won't, head hunched in the block's grip, relinquish its tenacious inertia. From a distance, it has the posture of the thinker, wondering what it might next be hurled at, grimly nostalgic for the better aimed sort of life it once had with you, Father. The title of this next one is self-explanatory, I think, Beaulieu River in winter. It's a tourist spot in summer, but in winter is nice and quiet. The Old Grey was not available in pots, unfortunately, or was it just not on in pots for one? I forget. Equally forgone, the English tourist car park ticket, a £5, with free entry to places one had no desire to visit, mostly, moreover, in January, closed. But all the river was open, available for miles of walking. The light an improbable occasion, the air a remission from a winter gone to ground, no less decommissioned, it seemed, than the elegant old fishing boat whose frail wishbone of stern lay still on the water, waiting for the tide to turn. And worth driving miles for, waders' cries searching the reaches, a white bridge evanescent in hazy sun, mists ferrying themselves over the river. Here is a garden centre poem called Gnome's Tale, a kind of love poem. Now I lie face down with an arm gone. I was fifth from left in the second row. I watched her enter, consider the wrapped herons a moment, and walk outside. The drowsing white carp would please her, or the terracotta containers full of Beaulieu's. But neither those nor any coloured singing bird was what she wanted. Instead, she paused in front of us, and before every accomplished pixie, fey wheelbarrow, and ever-grazing duck, chose me. She gave me a lake to gaze across, and woodland to guard. She made me keeper of all the fish that lift the light and drift downwards. She appointed me official listener to all the grass. I had a position near her words, and heard her pleasure in the darkness as her movement woke the scent of flowers. I intended her to know my loyalty, my steadfast gratitude for all this. I would not flinch from weather. She would see how year in, year out, I would not tilt an inch from true. This poem, called Dancing with the Arun, was the result of falling in the river. I only leaned on my stick a bit to prod a beach log floating in the reeds and push it towards midstream. The log must have rolled and the stick slipped under it, because the river was up round me in no time with its abrupt welcome. As I held my arms out over it, like a cormorant drying, or someone slowly wading a darkened room, the afternoon turned suddenly breathlessly cold as the river urged me firmly along the bank with a sort of quietly insistent pressure. I remember a tall, brown-suited, grey-haired male dancing teacher propelled me along with once and once only at Worsley's dance hall morning learners class. Elbows came in handy. Without them, I couldn't have fetched up even at third attempt with a newt-like squirming heave onto the bank, stretched full length and floundering like some washed-up old amphibian or species of odd-clothed fish unknown to science. Newly preserved from drowning, I went squelching past June afternoon walkers looking puzzled at the sight of so much darkly stained clothing, and wondering what the sound of my boots meant. And I even began to congratulate myself on strolling freely down a sunny lane soaking, past families with dogs and staring kids to the car, imagining how I'd explain at home with something like a reckless grin how I fell in. Then, as I sank into the front seat, dragging off boots and dark socks, a small brown reminder of a river came meandering from under the accelerator, and I felt myself taken by the shoulder again, feet tangling with each other a bit awkwardly, being urged along the Arun's lonely dance floor. Philip Larkin died in 1985. I didn't realise at the time, until a friend told me 2 or 3 days later, and somehow that prompted this poem called Larkin. Like cloud shadow today, your death making its way across England, across its towns, counties, fields, lanes. Slowly over cranes and spires and neglected waters, along quiet branch lines, over college lawns, like cloud shadow it passes, darkening recreation grounds, estates with washing, and slow widening rivers. And you, going ahead, at summer's pace cycling down one of the lost lanes at the end of the fens, listening already to oblivion, whispering from dusty stillnesses where flowering grasses hide the place names. In one of those faded Junes, you found somewhere the start of a war. Queues of men grinning as if they were on the winning team already, the innocently lived years ending in spendthrift gesture. Few such poems, all too few, but no one reproaches you with this last silence, though perhaps it means you let the littérateurs loose round canals and choirs to finally hunt you down. But you'll be left decently alone by the less well-read, your compassion celebrated, those being pushed to the side of their own lives, or adrift between garish wedding and drab bed-sitter. They be the best people to come forward, though they might never have heard of you. It's they who could best speak in your memory their own felt testimony, like an awkward "here endeth," pronounced quite loudly enough.